Hey everyone, and welcome to the No DQ live recap of NXT Takeover Portland. What a show tonight. This was the first NXT standalone pay-per-view, not attached to a main roster event like a WrestleMania or SummerSlam since the modern era of NXT, 2015 to the present. Let's go ahead and break down the matches. This was the longest NXT takeover, I believe. 6 matches, and all the matches got a decent amount of time. A couple of the matches got quite a bit of time. The first match, the opening of the pay-per-view, we had the North American Championship. Keith Lee defending his title against Dominik Dijakovic. I do want to note that during the kickoff, Sam Roberts was getting booed quite a bit. The crowd did not like Sam at all. And you had Mansoor doing the kickoff panel, and the crowd was cheering him every time he talked, and they would boo Roberts every time he talked. I just wanted to get that out there. So Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. We had the pay-per-view open up with a musical performance by Poppy, and then at the start of the match, they had their face-off. Crowd was giving them a standing ovation before the match even got started, before they even locked up. Keith Lee doing a lot of athletic things. He did a Hurricane Rana early in the match. Huge pop from the crowd. First big near fall of the match was when Dijakovic hit a corkscrew moonsault, and the crowd, of course, chanted NXT. Dijakovic got another near fall with an avalanche Death Valley driver off the middle ropes. Crowd went nuts again for that. And then on the outside of the ring, Dijakovic hit a super kick and then went up to the top, did a somersault dive all the way down to Keith Lee. Crowd was going crazy. Mauro Ranallo was going crazy. And I'm amazed that Ranallo's voice just held up through this entire show. And the crowd stayed hot for the entire show as well. Portland really brought it. I mean, this was their first pay-per-view, the first WWE pay-per-view in Portland since No Mercy 2008. It was a really long time without Portland getting a pay-per-view. And they made it clear that they want more. So we had Lee come back. He hit his big sit-down power bomb, which Dijakovic actually popped up from, kind of did like the Road Warrior Hawk no-sell. He popped up, he hulked up a little bit, and then Lee came back, hit a second one, got a near fall, and then Dijakovic got Lee up on the top rope and did a Spanish fly from the top. So basically, these guys were doing cruiserweight moves, yet these are both heavyweights. Dijakovic throughout the match took a lot of punishment, and at the end, his back started to give out on him, and Lee took advantage, hit the jackhammer for the 1-2-3 to retain the championship. After the match, Lee showed some sportsmanship. He helped Dijakovic up, and the two of them embraced. Great match. I mean, this was awesome. Both guys looked fantastic, and both guys are going to be major stars. They already are major stars, but these guys both have very bright futures, and I knew watching this match it was going to be hard for any match to top this one. This was amazing. Tony H with the $2 super chat says, Keith Lee is money, baby. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, I think Portland will get more pay-per-views if that contractor law passes in California. A hunch. Well, that could end up happening. And Tic Tat Tat says they will be successful on the main roster. I agree on that because both guys, they have all the attributes. They got the in-ring skills, they got personality, and they can both move for big men, which not every big man can move like that. This was arguably one of the best big man matches that I've ever seen. It was something else. It was quite the spectacle to see these guys go out there and just do all these crazy moves that the 200-pounders do, and they're doing it with ease. OG Crushes with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, who should Adam Cole drop the belt to? Well, maybe he dropped it to Tamasa Champa tonight. I haven't gotten to that match yet, but I'll discuss the outcome of that here in just a few minutes. Let's move on to the next match, which was a street fight between Dakota Kai and Keegan Knox. A lot of bad blood between them, of course, going back to the betrayal at Survivor Series War Games. As Knox was making her entrance, Dakota Kai came up from behind, attacked her. The two of them started brawling in the crowd. This was very fast-paced. They were moving quickly. Maybe a minute or two into the match, Knox speared Kai through the barricade. Kai got up, hit a DDT to Knox on the barricade, and then threw her back into the ring and started bringing in all the weapons and whatnot. You had a trash can, which there was one shot with a trash can to the face that was brutal. You had steel chairs. You had a table being brought out, all the stuff. And I was really impressed with how they managed to keep the pace of the show really hot after the opener. They definitely delivered and had a really fun street fight match here. Knox paid a little tribute to Molly Holly with the Molly go-round, got a near fall, and then Kai got some duct tape from under the ring, and maybe he was watching that John Cena Batista Last Man Standing match. He taped her to the ring post and then kicked her, and the impact of the kick broke the tape. And then back in the ring, Knox made a comeback. She got a steel chain from under the ring and was using it on Kai's surgically repaired knee. And Knox was on the verge of picking up the victory when Raquel Gonzalez, who was part of the Mae Young Classic, made her big NXT pay-per-view debut. She attacked Knox, and then with the two of them up on the top rope, Gonzalez pretty much pushed her, slammed her off the top rope onto the table. The table did not break. I am the table. And Kai went over and covered Knox to secure the victory. And after the match, Gonzalez helped up Kai, so it looks like they're going to have a partnership here. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, I got a nitpick. If I grab a chain in the fight, I don't know how damaged your knee is. I'm not using it to punch your knee. Tic Tat Tat said the match is great, but the ending. Now, the thing is, I liked the table not breaking. I thought that was pretty brutal. So I thought that was something memorable, more memorable than the table breaking, interestingly enough. Hamp Connor with a $2 super chat, going off topic here, but thank you, Hamp. He says, WrestleMania in LA next year. Are we having a meetup after Right? Well, that is the plan. If I'm in LA for WrestleMania, there will definitely be a meetup. You can rest assured I will do one. And Supernatural 28 with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. He says, very, very good show. Beautifully put together. Love it. Portland crowd was amazing. No DQ fan from New York. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. And again, thank you for the super chat and thank you for tuning in. So this match to me exceeded expectations, and they had a big match to follow, and I thought that the ladies did a really solid job here. Next up, we had Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano. This match was quite different from the first two. Both of them focused in the beginning on doing mat wrestling, which I like. It's good variety, change it up a little bit. And the thing is, these guys could pull it off. Not everybody can do the mat wrestling and keep the crowd invested because the fans, they're so conditioned to seeing the high spots and all the moves nonstop pretty much, going 100 miles an hour. But these guys are so good, they were able to go out there and do mat wrestling and keep the crowd invested. The crowd was doing the dueling chants, Johnny wrestling, let's go Finn. Balor was being arrogant, doing push-ups when he had Gargano in a leg lock. They ended up on the outside of the ring, And that's when things started to get a little bit more intense. Gargano countered a 1916 DDT and sent Balor into the steel steps. And then they had a really good sequence where they were both going back and forth, and then Balor hit the Pele kick. However, Gargano fell on top of him for a near fall. Gargano got another near fall later on, and then the two of them had a little moment to breathe where they had a face-off. Crowd, of course, doing the standing ovation, fight forever. There were several fight forever chants throughout this show. Cameron Johnson with a $4 super chat says, "Why Johnny Y? Also huge fan." Well, thank you for that, Cameron. I do appreciate it. And why Johnny Y? Why did Johnny not win this match? He was so close to beating Finn Balor and picking up a TakeOver pay-per-view, which he doesn't really do all that often. Balor missed the coup de grace, and Gargano got the Gargano escape on, but Balor did manage to get to the rope. And then Gargano on the outside of the ring did the Bullet Club taunt that Balor does. Gargano drop-kicked Balor into the barricade, and he wanted to finish him off in the most brutal way possible. So he cleared the announce table, and he was going to put Balor, or attempt to put Balor through the table. However, Balor countered that, and then Balor got onto the other announce table and did the running drop kick, which sent Gargano off the first table onto the barricade. And then Balor got Gargano back into the ring, hit the coup de grace, and then hit the 1916 DDT to pick up the victory over Johnny Wrestling. So this match, another great one from these guys. They did the mat wrestling in the beginning, but they really turned up the volume at the end and had another great match on NXT television. I do want to note that the first match, Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic, was about 20 minutes. And the second match was 13 minutes, the street fight between Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox. And this match was 27 minutes. So up to this point, this was the longest match of the evening. And shout out to Caitlin's dad, Bill, for keeping track of the times of these matches. And let's see what Virtue said. Virtue said that this was a very NXT show. Curtis Butler says, "Here's my contradiction statement about that match. A great, very predictable match." Well, I mean, there were a few moments where I thought maybe Gargano was going to pick up the win. I mean, I did predict Balor to score the victory, but there were a few moments where I thought maybe it was going to go the other way. So hats off to those guys for giving me some doubt that Balor was going to win. Next up, we had Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. For Black History Month, Bianca came out with a robe that said Black History in the Making, and her parents were also at ringside for the match. Belair showed off her strength, and she had a very good showing in this match. She hoisted up Ripley and slammed her, and then hit a spear, but was unable to make the pin. Belair did some of her flying moves. She did a somersault dive onto Ripley on the outside of the ring. But then Ripley came back, made her big comeback, and finished her off with the Riptide to win the women's, or retain the women's championship, excuse me. This was a good match, but probably the weakest match of the night. And it wasn't a bad match. It was good, but, you know, it wasn't at the level of the other matches. So by default, I would say that this was the weakest one of the show. Still a good match. And then afterwards, this was more about the angle than the match, really. After the match, Charlotte Flair showed up, jumped Rhea Ripley from behind in the ring, and then Charlotte got on the mic and accepted Rhea Ripley's challenge for WrestleMania 36. It is official. Charlotte Flair cashing in her Royal Rumble title match against Rhea Ripley for the NXT title. I know some people are not a big fan of this, but I like it. When you look at the women's matches that they're setting up, this is a really strong match. Rhea Ripley's been pushed very hard. Charlotte Flair is Charlotte Flair, of course. You got Becky and Shayna, and we don't know who Bayley's facing yet. Hopefully it'll be Sasha. But to me, those would be three really strong matches for WrestleMania. So now we just got Bayley, and we already saw Bayley and Charlotte a bunch of times, so I like this. And it really elevates NXT as well, that Charlotte's taking her Royal Rumble match against the NXT champion instead of Raw or SmackDown. And afterwards, Charlotte also beat down Belair, a little bit. I hope they don't do a triple threat. I know some people are pushing for it, but I prefer the one-on-one matches personally. Maybe they'll do a match on TV. Maybe Charlotte will go to NXT and face Bianca, or maybe Bianca gets called up to the main roster soon. Her husband Montez Ford is on Raw, so would not shock me if Bianca is one of the next call-ups after WrestleMania. Because there's really not much for her to do now that she's lost this. And I could see Dakota Kai after WrestleMania feuding with Rhea Ripley, if Rhea's the champion, of course. But I could see Dakota Kai being in the mix for the title. So I'm not sure there's anything left for Bianca to do in NXT. I could see her being that next call-up after WrestleMania. This match was pretty short, about 14 minutes. Now we move on here to the next to last match, which was for the tag team titles. We had the Undisputed Era defending their titles against the Broserweights. Broserweights came out with their golf cart and their trophy. Riddle cut a quick promo, made fun of Bobby Fish with the I can't even do it. Should I even try, guys? How much fish can Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? Think I got it. But he said that line, and he got the crowd to say it with him. And this was a fun moment. Undisputed Era, they were just fed up with these guys. They ran down, and the fight started on the outside of the ring. Matt Riddle looked really impressive in this match. He was taking out both guys on his own. Nice little sequence between Riddle and O'Reilly going back and forth. And then the crowd gave him a standing ovation again, chanting NXT. UE got the dueling submissions on, but Riddle managed to kick one of them and then break out of the submission that he was in. And then there was a moment where I thought maybe Riddle and Dunn are not going to get the job done, because Riddle speared Dunn by mistake. UE came in, hit the Chasing the Dragon finisher. However, Pete Dunne kicked out. And then Matt Riddle tagged himself back in, and the two of them hit their double team strikes, the stereo strikes, and with the 1, 2, 3, Matt Riddle made the pinfall, and we have new NXT Tag Team Champions, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne. Big celebration for them. Definitely the right move in my book. These guys have been red hot. They're a fun act, and they got the golf cart. They got the whole 9 yards. I thought this was great. And it was about time. UE had a very solid run as tag team champions, but it was time to make the change. And now we have our main event of the evening, Adam Cole versus Tamasa Champa for the NXT World Championship. Crowd was doing the dueling chants right off the bat for these guys, and Adam Cole was trying to slow the pace down, rolling to the outside when Ciampa was on fire. And they fought on the outside for a bit, and that's when things took a turn in Cole's favor. Cole ended up doing the wheelbarrow and slamming Ciampa into the announce table back first, and the crowd was chanting holy shit. We had Ronaldo freaking out, and at this point Ciampa started selling his neck, and Cole was in firm control of the match, with the announcers bringing up the surgery, Ciampa's neck surgery and all that. Ciampa, though, kept fighting, and he kept trying to put Cole away. He came close on several occasions. He hit the air raid crash from the top, which is how he beat Cole at War Games off the top of the cage, but could not get the job done. He hit the Project Ciampa, which also could not get the job done. Cole came back, hit the last shot, however, was not able to make the cover, and they ended up on the apron, and that's when Ciampa hit the air raid crash on the apron. Crowd chanted, "Holy shit," again. Cole managed to come back from that, hit the Panama Sunrise on the floor. He threw Ciampa back in the ring. Ciampa had another comeback, and Ciampa hit the fairy tale ending. Everyone in the crowd thought this was it, but nope. Adam Cole kicked out of the fairy tale ending. And Tony H has a $2 super chat here, which I'll get to in just a second. Ciampa was on the verge of winning when the outside interference took place. You had Roderick Strong on the apron, and O'Reilly and Fish attacked Ciampa with the referee distracted. Cole went for the pin. However, Ciampa kicked out. Ciampa fought back again, but then got hit with multiple super kicks, got hit with the last shot, and it looked like it was all over. Cole was going to retain the title. However, Ciampa kicked out yet again. Ciampa hit another fairy tale ending, but this time the referee got knocked down in the process, and Ciampa was unable to put him away because the referee was down. Crowd was chanting. They chanted like to 13 or something like that. And then when it looked like maybe Ciampa was finally going to win the title, he was going for the title belt to use on Cole, and that's when Johnny Gargano showed up and grabbed the title away from Ciampa. Gargano was on the outside of the ring. Ciampa was right by the ropes. And then we had Gargano take the championship and stab his on and off again friend in the back, hit him with the championship, and then referee, of course, came to, got back in the ring, counted out Ciampa. Adam Cole, still your NXT World Champion. Now, Tony H with the $2 super chat says, please end the Gargano-Ciampa feud at TakeOver Tampa. I want to know what you guys think about this. The game is on 100 with a $5 super chat says, Gargano costing Ciampa the title. Now it's opposite roles for Ciampa Gargano. It really felt Ciampa would win the title, though. Hope Dream beats Cole. What do you guys think about Gargano going heel again and basically rebooting this feud? These guys were supposed to face at WrestleMania last year, but we had an injury from Ciampa. So it looks like they're going to continue this feud, one more go-around, but this time with the roles reversed. People's Wrestling Channel says Gargano has never been a heel. I could have sworn he was a heel about a year and a half ago, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. Anthony says Gargano has been a heel or has been a babyface since being in WWE. I thought he was a heel for a while, from what I remember. But anyways, very interesting ending. I was not expecting the Gargano heel turn. I did not see that one coming. But at least these guys get some closure to wrap up this feud for good. Match was great, of course. And they did do a little bit of a swerve at the end with the heel turn. Overall, I mean, I don't even know what else to say. The pay-per-view was fantastic, as the NXT takeovers always are. I did think 6 matches was a bit much. I was starting to get a little burned out at the end. I think 5 is ideal. 6, I think, they wanted to go one more match since this was a standalone pay-per-view. And it was still great, though. All the matches were good to great. Again, I think maybe the NXT Women's title was the only match that was maybe a little bit below great, but still a really solid match. So I'm giving this show a solid A. Very close to an A+, but I feel like maybe it was a little too long, and maybe if Rhea Ripley's match was a little bit more spectacular, maybe I could have given this the A+. And, the ending with Gargano coming out, it's fine to me. I'm not really going to complain about it too much. Let's see what you guys thought. Kev Dog with an A, CC Drink with an A, Israel Diaz with an A, Tic Tat Tat with an A, Christopher Mace with an A minus, Darkside with an A, Michael Wayne with a solid A, Dr. NXT Scorpio with an A, Matt Helms with an A, Mike D with an A plus, and Mike B with an A, and Kurt with a B plus, Curtis Butler with a B, and Calvin Bowman with an A, and Anthony with a B plus. So mostly A's from everybody, few A minuses, few B pluses, but yeah, NXT delivers as it always does. I definitely recommend checking the pay-per-view out. You know, you're always guaranteed. Oh, another question I have for you guys. Do you think that there were maybe too many near falls at the end? Do you think it was just a little bit overkill in that last match especially? Let me know in the comments section what you think about that. So that was NXT, everybody. And next up on the list is AEW. No, we have Super Showdown first and then Revolution. So it's going to be a busy week coming up at the end of the month. We're going to have the Super Showdown and then AEW Revolution. And then not too long after that, I think the next weekend, we got Elimination Chamber. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. If you enjoyed this video, please share a link on social media. Tell a friend, spread the word, click on the subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to get updates. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, too many near falls all show. And Kayfabe Candy Ass says, the announcers are the only ones shocked by these kickouts. There were a few that got me, though. There were a few that I thought were well executed. And yeah, as Super Namic puts it, the table spot with Tegan Knox was probably the only noticeable botch. But even that, I thought it looked better than it would have if she just went through the table. Ken, terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Ken. Says, like Chris Mace, I would give the show an A minus. By the way, why does Mike B's attacks towards me feel like the pinky poke of death, LOL? Ooh, we got a little rivalry going on here between Ken, terminated by Google, and Mike B. Got to make sure it's Mike B and not Mike D. It's hard for me to read the screen sometimes. Mike B as in Bob. Kev Dog says the table spot looked kind of brutal. Yeah, it did. It did for sure. All right, guys, so that's all I got for tonight. I will be back Monday night to discuss Raw, and then Tuesday night we will be doing a special No DQ review. I'm sure Virtue and the crew will have a lot to say about this pay-per-view, so tune in then. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you all next time.